let's start with a recall. So let's start with a recall of where we're coming from. Right. Our journey started from trying to understand what a CRM, how to handle CRM project as an analyst. And we've been able to, we were given four files: the customer data, sales, customer interaction, and the sales rep. And with the data that we have, we also model the data to create a relationship sort of between the four tables. From there, we focused our on the analysis that has to do with extracting the value from the customers, understanding what these customers spending behavior, what are the things that have influenced their spending behavior, how how much of the information do we know about this customer. So we had to focus on four analysis, actually three, but two are kind of connected to themselves. Right. Then we were able to start with the customer lifetime value, and that was when we did the CLV revenue. And we learned that the CLV revenue is a value that helps us to know how much the company, what how much does the company make based off a unique customer. The question is, why are we doing this analysis in the customer table? Why are we not doing it in the sales or transaction? Does anybody want to help suggest why? Why are we doing this analysis about the customers in the customers table? Why are we not doing it okay in the interaction table or in the sales table where the transaction has been taking place? Anyone? All right, our silence is awkward. The reason why we're doing this analysis in the customer table. Oh, focus. Okay, your hand is up. You can just speak.
Sorry, please, I didn't get what you asked.
Okay, why are we doing the analysis? Why are we creating the why did we create the CLV, the recency and frequency in the customer table? Why not in the transaction table or the sales rep table?
Okay, so the reason why we're creating um those columns, those calculated columns on the customer table is because we're actually tracking each customers. So we're working on customer relationship, right? Yeah. We're working on customers, so we need to track each one of them, and the customer table is actually having a unique value whereby we can track every single one of them. Yeah.
Exactly. All right, that's good. Yeah, because we believe that once we can understand these customers, we can then look at the kind of strategy to marketing, to growth, to sales, to acquiring new customers. And then as well, we could even know if there is need to, of course, it's in the customer table, we can know those that their account is active or not. So this way, this information just keeps us in that space that gives us the unique. So because the customer table has the unique table, we don't have duplicates of customer ID in the customer table. But if you check the sales rep table, we have duplicates of, we don't even have any information about customers in the sales rep. And then if you check the transaction table, we have duplicate of customers. Look at it. We have duplicate of customers in the based on their transaction, of course. And then if we decide to check the customer interaction, of course, we cannot perform this here because this table is a copy of this table, all right? Because here now we just the only information that was tracked in the interaction is how this customer, how the employee have been interacting with these customers. So it really doesn't give us any information about the customer. All right. So that's the reason why we're doing this here. All right. So we went for that to calculate the. We wanted to calculate the recency. For us to calculate the recency, we had to we had to first of all find their recent date of transaction, or like we called it, the last date of transaction. And we did it for each of the customers. So this way we can find out that let's say customer 1033, let me copy the customer ID, right? And if I try to check the customer in the transaction to know what is recent, I could do, then I will have that value. So if I search for that customer, we could not find what you are looking for. Click more option. Okay, match case. No, I don't want to do it on like, I just want to do it here. Okay. All right. So Excel is pointing us to this guy. And if we try to look at this table now, I feel like oh, sorry, we're supposed to do this on the customer, not the, aha. So I don't know if anybody notices the mistake I made. I did the, I was trying to track number of transaction. I mean, I'm trying to track this unique customer. To track the unique customer, I'm trying to, okay, first of all, this is what I'm trying to do. Let me start afresh. This is the customers. I mean, we currently are working with we're trying to find the recency days of recency days, in the sense that, mm, how, when last did this customer transact with us, and how many days is that day from their last transaction up to an expected date. All right, up to an expected date. But to be able to know the date of their last transaction, we already know that each customer, some customers here transacted about 3 to 4 times, some 3 to 5 times, some even 6 times. So for us to be able to know how many transactions can we trace to this particular customer, that's customer in, oh sorry, all right, that's customer with ID 1033. So I'm going to do find, and I'm going to do I'm going to go to the transaction table, all right, and then I will do find, and I'll try to find this customer. So I'll select the customer ID, because that's this is the transaction unique to a particular customer. And then when I do find all, we notice that Excel is pointing like, if not 6 columns that is unique to this customer. So if I try to close this is all the transaction that we have from this customer. So we can see that this guy has visited the store 6 times. Yeah. And not just that he visited the store. Of course, he did transaction. These are the transaction ID attached to the transaction he made, right? And we also can see that he bought different products. So at the end of the day, we want to know what is his recent dates. From the date of his transaction, all the dates is becoming, which is the recent. Now, normally we would have to find the maximum date here, right? The maximum date. So that's what we did with the uh, max if here. So that's what we did with the max if acquisition dates. Sorry, not acquisition dates, under the uh, last date of transaction. So we did max if. That's the formula in there. We did max if, and max if helps us to find the highest date of each transaction. So if we look at this data now, what is the highest for us? Well, there's no need to do this manually, because Excel has just, with formulas, with functions, we've been able to do that. Now, once we have, okay, are we on the same page, guys? Are we still with me?
Yes.
Okay, all right, great. So once we have figured out the date of transaction, then we can now go ahead to know the recent date. The goal of this thing is to understand the context. When you understand the context, the second thing you can now ask yourself is, what exactly do I want to do with the data? right? Which variable in the data helps me to find that information? And then you can now define which function you're going to use to do that. What function would you use to answer that question? And then when you run into errors, your thinking pattern is already straightforward. So you'll be able to you'll be able to debug where the problem is. So for us, we use the maximum dates. All right, we use the maximum dates. Now I want to do something, which is I want to update this question. Instead of working with the maximum dates, right? And if we did the maximum dates, I want to know the I want to use the okay, yeah. I think I did it already. So what I did was that I used the maximum dates of our data sets, like the highest date of transaction, like the latest date of transaction. What does that mean? If I go to the transaction date and I try to sort these dates by, by the newest dates, our newest date becomes the second of, is it second? Okay, become the 10th day of February 2026, right? So that's the date that I used for the recency. So I subtracted his last date of transaction from the most recent date in the data sets. That's why we did the max function on column C under the transaction table. Yeah, max function of column C on the transaction table. Now that we have this, we can now say, okay, if that is the case, then we can see that the last time this guy transacted, the days in between is about 363 days. All right. And then we can then compare the recency from the revenue on active customer to know which of our customers are doing well. All right. And we could even further use the gender, the age group, and the region to better understand what kind of customer would this be. All right. And then that will help us to drive home decision for the sales department or the marketing department. How could we have done that if we did not have the recency day and if we did not have the CLV value? Are we together? As a data analyst, the first thing for you is while you're trying to do all your calculations in Excel and finding the measures, whether it's Power BI you're using, you have to start thinking of the story, that's the way you're going to communicate this. You're going to just you need to start thinking of the sense in what you're doing, because that's, remember, the focus is not you, it's the business. So if your analysis is not driving decision, if it's something they already know, then what's the use of doing the analysis, right? You've literally just wasted the resources. So that's the reason why it's very important that we, you know, really understand where CLV and recency plays in our data. Now, aside from that, we went on to find the frequency. If we go back to our slide, I documented that recency, which is recency day, helps us to measure how recent a customer has made a purchase. So it means that, so what does it mean when we have a smaller number? What does it mean when we have a larger number? We need to be able to define that number. All right. And then if possible, you could even create a flag. You could create a recency day status that if your day from transaction is between 1 to 10, then we should check up on you so that we don't lose you. Of course, the customer that last visited the store 10 days ago, you can still convince him to come back. But the customer that have not visited the store in 500 days, 300 days, what do you think about that customer? Of course, you're speaking to yourself, because he might just hear you for his listening sake. He's made up his mind to transact to another business. Are we still together? So this is the thinking that comes while we're doing this. All right. And this is the reason why I actually want us to pay more attention, because one thing is that what we're doing here will inform our report, it will inform our dashboard. All right. It will inform our dashboard, it will inform our report to help us know what exactly to report to the business and what not. So the frequency was where we tried to find out the number of transactions that have been carried out that we can trace, that we can trace to a particular customer ID. So remember when we did the sorting on the data, we discovered that this particular customer, there was a particular customer number that we used. Let me undo the sorting. All right. All right. So if we look at customer with ID 3, we discover that this customer have transacted 3 times. All right. So it means that this particular customer ID 3, the frequency will be what? 3. This customer with ID, which customer with frequency 4, his frequency will be what? 4. Now, that was what we did with the frequency table. Now, where does this, why is this relevant? Because when we know the transaction, when we know the recency, of course, I think we should even go ahead to do that. Let's create a recency day frequency. This is still going to come up in our dashboard. So I'm going to call this recency. I just call it ROD frequency, ROD status. All right. So you will bear with me that we need to first know what our distribution is so that we can actually fit in a range, right? So that will be, let's know the maximum first. Let me try to put these data away from the table. And then the minimum. All right. So you can, if you talk to the business now, we can say, okay, those that their transaction, their recency day is greater than 1,000, we're not interested, right? The business can give you their metrics based on this recency now. You can say, okay, the business can tell you greater than 1,000. Okay, for us, let's just be very practical. Let's be very honest. All right. We know that a year is how many days? A year has how many days? 365 days, right? A year has 365 days. So how many months should we create for our recency? So we could say, okay, if you're less than 3 months, to be how many days? Hey guys.
93, 90 or 92,
So let's just say
depending
we
on the
have
months.
day. We could say 90 days, and then we could say 180 days. All right. So we could just create a frequency for this guy. Uh, so 200 days. 200 days is a little too much. So, but let's just say uh, okay. All right. So let's just say 90, then let's say 30. Okay. Anything greater than 180, we're not interested. We could just say lost. Lost. The 90, we can say hope they shall, right? And then 30 days, we can say uh follow up. All right. So imagine we had this status and we wanted to create that for recency day. Oh, sorry, I already created that. So I can have that frequency to be ifs. All right. So if it's if this guy is greater than, is less than 30, less than or equals to 30, all right, then we want it to be follow up. Okay, let's just do it like this. This guy is less than or equals to 30, and we want to say follow up. And if this guy is less than or equals to 90, we want to say hope day. And if this guy is uh, greater than 90, then we want to say lost. Okay. Um, going down. Oh, so this guy. He's person. I think I'm 90. Great. I don't see. Yeah. So what's this say? Okay. So where do we have the obstruction? Oh, okay. Sorry. Um, I've seen the mistake. Can anybody guess why we have a mistake? Of course, even this is. Can anybody guess the mistake? Anyone?
Alright, Paul, this is supposed to be constant.
You said?
The, the cells on Q are supposed to be constant.
Sorry, I didn't even clearly.
Is it that the cells on Q are supposed to be as constant also because the others are changing hence is zero?
I can't say I hear clearly. Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you clearly. Now, the reason why we're getting this wrong is because one of the things that you can do is you can. Um, I'm using a keyboard I'm using an external keyboard. My keyboard does not have. Okay, let me just tell you guys where the problem is coming from this. When we did this, yeah, when we did this, the first value is correct. But because we did not lock our criteria, we didn't lock this guy. Okay, let's try to lock it. Okay, we didn't lock this guy. We didn't lock this guy. Okay, this is the reason why we have the error. Because Excel is supposed to be seeing only this. But now, when we filter down, it's seeing rubbish. That's why. So I'm using a dynamic approach in the sense that I don't want to enter the value myself. I just want to reference value so that when this condition changes, my value changes. Look at that. Normally, what you're supposed to do is to do F4, but my F4 does not have the dollar sign. You get it does not have that feature because of my keyboard. Actually, it's not because of. So I'm doing this manually. Okay, I'm doing this manually. Now it works. Does that make any sense to us, guys? All right. So now the business can make better decisions to know who to follow up, who is worth it, and who is not worth it. All right. Okay. So I think that's just me adding something. So the beauty now is if I decide to change these metrics from 90 to we use less than 90, right? If I decide to make these metrics to be that let's say 987. All right, it changes my data. All right, if I decide to even make this 180, I mean, if I decide to make this 90 to be 70, some value in my data changes. Or if I decide to make this 30 to be 15, some information, some guys that were lost, I mean, some guys that needed follow up. Anyway, that's just the beauty though. right? If I make any change to the condition, if the business decide to change this, if the marketing department decides to change these metrics, I'm not worried about whatever I've done with my table. So with that being said, let us fly away. I'm not going to do, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to keep this guy. Yes, I'll keep this guy. Or better still, I'm just going to hide it. All right. I'm just going to hide it. But we know something is there, yeah? All right. So let's move on. So now that we've been able to create our frequency on this guy, let's go back to the main project. Uh, okay. Okay. Focus, your hand is up.
Yeah. Sorry, please. I want to draw you a bit back. So when you were calculating your recency days, right? Yeah. So there was an explanation you made there. I actually went to take my laptop so that I can follow through with what I did. So that's what I wanted to try and kind of explain.
Okay. So we already know that recency is based on, okay, when last did this customer transact, from that last day of transaction till the date of report. Now we can't use today's date. Why? Because it will increase this number to be a very large number. All right. So we had to use the date of the last transaction that the business closed account. If we go to transaction dates, we can see the dates that the last transaction dates. So that's the maximum date on transaction. So if we try to sort this guy now from newest. So we can now see that this is the latest date of transaction, meaning the company closed accounts on these dates and gave us the data
Okay.
price. You said?
Okay, I used today instead of I used like I think when I was doing the project, the last date were not yet on the last date. So I used the today.
The today's date, yeah, the today's function, yeah.
Yeah, that is what I actually used in mine. So I guess that's the reason why there's a bit.
Yeah. So you can
Okay.
just change it, yeah. All right. So let's move forward. Please feel free to ask questions or slow me down. If we had to continue the workshop another day, I'll be glad to, as long as we understand. That's the whole reason for doing this, to make sure that we all understand what we're doing. All right, isn't it? Your hand is up here. Talk to me. Oh, focus. Sorry,
Okay,
focus.
thank
I
you.
used to speaking. Focus. Okay. All right, isn't it? Talk to me. What's up?
Okay, the last class, the last workshop we had, what Focus
Yeah.
was actually saying, using the today, that was what we did in the last class. And that was what I did also. And I remember we were having an issue too with the dates. I don't know if you've been able to rectify that, where we were having 00 January 00, something like that. And we had to hide it somehow. I don't know if you've been able to rectify that. I would like to know how you did it.
Okay. Okay. So I had an issue with the 00 thing in the last class with the recent with these dates or with the recency dates. Recency date.
With the recency days, we actually even had to create another column where we used if let me check the formula again.
All
We
right.
used if the recency day is greater than 46,000 something something, then zero. I don't know if you can recall that part. Then we hid the initial column and used the second column where we applied the if condition.
Oh, okay, I got. Oh, I actually moved on past that stage though. So let me explain, right? I think I have to walk some step. We had issues with the 003 for the recency day, yeah.
Yes.
All right. So let's do this. Um, all right. But do we have the last date of transaction to be accurate on your end?
No.
Hmm?
The zero zeros actually appeared from the last date of transaction, where some customers don't have any transaction made. Their CLV was zero. So our
Yeah.
last date of transaction was
All right. Okay. So let me rework the date of transaction again. All right. Now, the last date of transaction is a function of the maximum date function that can be traced from the customer ID. Okay. So let's try it. Thank you for calling my attention to that. We actually figured that stuff out though. Okay, we didn't figure it out in class. After we ended the meeting, I went back to sit down with it and I figured it out. Okay. All right. So let me just sort it right here. All right. So for us to know our day of transaction, our last day of transaction, so that will be our max function, max ifs. Yeah. So our transaction date is our maximum range should be on the transaction date. All right. So I'll go to the transaction date. All right. Then our criteria range is on the customer. Yeah. Our transaction range is on the customer ID. No, this um and our criteria is coming back to this guy. Okay. And then converting these dates to calendar. So that will be custom dates here. And if we decide to change it to the slash, um, all right, we can still have that bit. Do you get what I just did? Try do it again.
Yes, yes, sir, yes, sir.
All right. So what I said is we're trying to know the last date that this particular customer transacted. The higher, like out of all the days he visited, he did a transaction. What's the latest date of his transaction? All right. So that's what we're trying to do. So we will start with equals to max if our maximum range is the column that we are interested in doing the maximum on. So that will be our transaction dates. Comma. The range, the criteria range is over here where their IDs is tracking the dates. Then my criteria itself will be in my customer table using their IDs. So that's, and then that will give us Now, normally that will give us a date number. It's because I formatted this column to date. That's why it's giving us date. So when you get that value, what you can now do is use the format it to date. Format it to dates. Yeah. Does that make any sense to us? So now that we know, isn't it? Does that make sense to you?
So please let me see the formula.
You said?
Let me see the formula again, please.
Oh, the formula. Okay. Let me just do it again. I'll be very slow this time. Um,
I will say it.
you said?
I said, please, can you try sorting the
Okay.
customer ID so that we can see
Uh,
IDs 1 and 2? Because those two
uh,
had the 008 on them.
yeah, they didn't. Now, some customer did not have a transaction.
Yes.
We have their data, but we can't trace their transaction. So Excel could not find a calendar date for them. So we gave them a particular.
Yes.
Yeah. It's coming back to me now. So let's try it again. The maximum function, the maximum range is the column of the transaction date. So you have to go to the transaction table and choose the transaction dates. Okay. And choose the transaction dates. That's the first thing to satisfy. The second thing to satisfy is your criteria range. Criteria range is where should it trace, what should it use to trace on the maximum range. I want it to trace this range. What do you want it to search inside this range? Then I'll go to the customer table and pick the customer ID, and then that's it. All right. So when you get that value, you can now format your column to date and time. You can either use the custom date and time, all right, or you could just use the normal dates. I mean, the custom dates, or you could use the normal dates. All right. So once you've done that, I think you're good to go. Let's try to sort this data on the customer ID. Oh, sorry. All right. So this is it now. We have some customers that their transaction date is funny because nobody will be transacting with this business as old as the 90s, right? If we look at the latest transaction date, let's do from oldest. The oldest is 2020. So we're having 2000, 1990. It means there's an issue here. All right. And if you even trace it, you will trace it and you discover that the the they don't have CLV revenue, right? They don't have CLV revenue. So what can we do to make this valuable? So what we now did was we created a column, all right, and we said if I think we just do ifs. Okay, we should do if. So if this guy is equals to a particular date that is funny, right? We actually enter the dates. We said, mm, let's say 01, 01, or 00, 01, 1990. It is equals to that guy, then the date should be it should be empty, else it should give us whatever is there. Okay. All right, so it is okay. Still giving us the same thing. All right, so to help us not get lost or struggle so much with this is what I'm going to do. Okay. Um, I'm only going to take this value and say if this guy, come down, if this guy is equals to uh, this guy, and let me see if I can lock it. Can I lock it? I'm not sure I can lock it. I'm not sure I can lock it. Okay. All right. I need to think of something. What did I do in the last class? Can anybody remember what I did with that zero guy? Okay. 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 Um, I can actually do. I can still do. I could still do this. So if this guy is equals to the date function, the year of this guy, no, the text function of this guy as no, 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 no. It won't give me what I'm looking for. Okay, yeah, the year function of this guy. If the year function of this guy is equals to 1900, then it should. How am I closing this guy? Yeah, because then it should give me back. It should give me empty. Else, okay, I can have the else out there. So if the year function else goes to this guy, okay, then nah, 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 nah. Let me see, try it. You just say head work. It should give us, let's see, else should give us this guy. All right, so I think I got it. Isn't it, your hand is up? Hello?
Yes, I wanted to remind you that we actually did this on the recency days, not on the last transaction date. But this is fine too.
All right, so let me just do everything I did again. I think what I did was I did if this value is equals to if I wanted to extract the year and say the year has to be equals to this, then return back that value and give me then the main the whole of this is a condition. All right, so the whole of this is a condition. So if the condition is met, then it should give me empty. Else, it should just give me whatever is in that column. So now that we have this guy, right? I can. I think this would be my. Okay. All right. So I think I can now delete this column. But if I delete this column, my recency day is tied to this guy. Right. My recency day is tied to this guy. So I'm just going to maybe give this guy a red text intentionally. Are we together? Should I redo what I did with the last dates? Okay. Oh, okay. You guys know I'm sharing my entire screen, right? So I'm not seeing thumbs up.
Okay, sorry. I think we are
Should I
fine
do
with
this?
it.
Okay, you're fine with it. Okay, okay, all right, cool.
Yes,
So
please.
let's now try to do the recency day based off on the last day of transaction. So I'm just going to add this column here. Don't tell me that because I make you red now, you now decide to be red. Very much one chance I give you, you don't they do anyhow. All right, so let's now do the recency days. So the recency days will be dated if that will be these dates subtracted by the max dates on the transaction dates. And then, oh, I'm not done. Then I would indicate a D column. Okay, I have to close the transaction dates. Then I would say, give me the due dates. Okay, so is it the reverse? Can it be the reverse? Or is it because this column has been changed? Which does let me format this guy to number. Oh, I think I know why. It's because the date was changed. 2000, okay. They want me. Okay, okay, it's actually correct. Oh. So the problem now is these guys, right? Okay, so a let's have uh let's have let's have an error. So if it runs into error, you should just put empty. All right, are we together? So what I did was,
Yes, sir.
no. So you know how we have empty guys here. I want to keep those values steady. So what we did was the dated if we put it inside an if error. So if it ever runs into an error, you should just assign the error to empty. That's why those empty are still there. Don't mind this guy. I'm going to delete him once we're done. In fact, I'm done. So if I delete that guy, of course, this two will go, right? So this will become my days of recency. And this status now, we're the one that created it based on as on based the days that we created. Anyway, we could just erase all this guy. How about Aru F? Oh, Aru. No, it's I changed my mind. Recency the status. I could even be very funny. um, follow up status. All right. I could even be very funny with my title with follow up status. All right. So if this guy is not, I think we had something here. Let me just bring it back. All right. We had something here. Jesus. One, oh, okay, okay, okay. I said 10 o'clock. I was like, time is fast. I'll stop by 10:30. Wherever we stop, we'll continue another time. But, okay, I heard it. You guys not tell me now. No, you tell me now. I heard it. I heard it. It was literally hiding. Yeah. All right, so let's now get it. So if, all right, so if this guy is less than or equals to 30, I'm supposed to lock that 30. So I'll put a dollar sign here. I'll put a dollar sign here. If that guy is less than or equals to 30, then we want to say follow up. That's the first condition. Second time, if this guy is less than or equals to 90, I have to lock that guy too as on 90. I'm doing the locking manually. It's not healthy. Just do function F4. Is it F3 or F4? Name them. F3 or F4.
F4. F4.
Okay. So if this guy is equals to 90, then give me this guy. I'm supposed to even lock the guy that is supposed to give me, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So I'll just lock only one. I think it's only no, no, no. If you not lock it, it will not start studying the pattern. It will say hope, lost, follow up, empty. No, no. Isaiah is not as smart as you all think. Or I don't fall for that guy. I'll lock it. So I'll just lock it. And I'll do the same thing to this guy. Lock it. Lock it. Then if it's equals to that guy, lastly, if this guy is now greater than this 90 guy, let's go and lock it. Let's now lock it. This guy and this guy. So if it's greater than this guy now, you cannot say lost. I could even lock the lost self. Nope. Okay. I think our work here is done. So all these people lost. Now, the most important variable in all this thing is accounts account status. Because if you say that this person account is inactive, if the person is suspended, if the account is suspended, then it has to tally with. There's a possibility that if the account is suspended, then the person will either be in follow up or lost. Now we can even tell why we lost this person because this person has not even visited the store no longer. I want to actually see if there's a correlation between these two. Let me see. If I have all the lost only, can I say the account is lost? We have active that is lost. Interesting. So we should question all these people that they are lost and yet their account is still, things are still happening to them. Anyway, that's for decision making. Let's just let's just be one cute analyst that is judicious to his work. So I think the frequency should be correct, right? Frequency will be correct because for the frequency, or should we do frequency again? No, no, we did the right thing last time. So let's do. So frequency is you want to know how many times you can trace. So that will be the count ifs. Is it count ifs? Count ifs we still play the work of counting. So count this range. That's transaction ID, customer ID. Yeah. And let the criteria now be ID that is here. So you can tell us that some people have not made any transactions since this business started, and some people have made transactions. So we can see that the highest is 6. Okay, let's now talk about our RFM score. All right. So let me hide these two again. As well now. All right. So let's talk about our RFM score. Now, you guys will agree with me that the RFM score, based on the material that we have, it says it's the score that we assign to the customer based on their RFM. Now, you agree with me too that monetary calculation is the same thing as customer lifetime value. Agreed? Customer lifetime revenue, I mean. Agreed? Yes. Right. This RFM score, sorry, this RFM means recency, frequency, monetary, right? And our monetary is the same thing as our what's the word? As our CLV revenue. So I think can I delete this? No, this guy is tied to this. So I could just hide this. All right. Okay, so now that I have that, let's now do what we want to do. So there is a theory. Two things we can do with this RFM now is that we can either try to, can you see me? Oh, we're just two in class. Okay, should we stop
I'm
here?
hearing you. Let's go on.
No,
Okay, all
let's
right.
go on, please.
All right, so for our RFM score now, of course, it's you that have to decide a mark. Like, this is a score. We can choose that the score should be between 1 to 5 or 1 to 10. All right. We want to just know the value that this customer, like, we just want to evaluate. We just want to know, you know how they will say, what is your net worth? So we want to know the net worth of this customer based on his score. All right. Based on his score, we want to know the net worth of this customer. So for us now, how do we define this? How do we define this guy? Now, there are two ways that we can define this. All right. Because if we're going to define this, we need to consider 4 variables: the CLV, the recency, and the frequency. These three must be considered. All right. These three must be considered. And we know that these three, they are what? They are numbers, right? So let's take a decision. Let's take a decision. Anybody that is, let me even put it. I have to bring back that column that I hate it, because it would be so good to do it on those columns. Jesus Lord, I just remember. Oh, I'm recording. All right. Yeah,
Beg
catch
go.
me. Yeah, catch me. Like, unity. Yeah, I've gone for you. So let's take a decision here. Now, normally, I would do if this was a real case, I would go to the manager, we'll sit down together, whether it's the sales manager or whoever, and me and him will come up with this score. All right. But we know that the score has to be, something like this. All right. If we want to even make it deeper self, we can go 7, we can go 8. But let's just do 5. Now, revenue. Now, I would not use CLV to start my base, all right, but it can give me a prospect. I would prefer to use the frequency. Are we together? So, first of all, let's try to know what is the average CLV value. Do we need to know the average recency value? Of course, we might know the average recency, frequency value, or we can try to find the average on those that can be followed up, so that we will not waste the marketing people time. We don't need to waste their time. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to find the average. I'm supposed to be keeping a document of this thing somewhere, and I used to do it. Ultimately, I've changed. Let's keep a document, shall we? So normally, I will say this. For the frequency, no, for the recency days, all right, I'm going to say, let's use the, let me give us more space. Can we see my screen clearly? I'm going to say, let's use the average recency. For the CLV, let's do average. So we average on follow-up. Do we get average on follow-up? Then for CLV revenue now, okay, I can do this on the average. Gone. In fact, there's no even need to stress myself. I can do the CLV average by saying the follow-up average too, where the recency ROD average of on follow-up. Somebody's not here when I do this work. The person will just think like I'm doing one better thing. Okay, I'm doing better thing. Sorry. Let's say rec D. Let's say rec D. So that's the recency days average on follow-up only. Then for this frequency now, let's try. If I try to filter this data to should we say lost? Okay. I'm having another idea. My brain is having ideas. So you know how we want to say, we want to create a mark, right? We can say our one is going to be that it has to be greater than, okay. Let that idea come to the end. I'll bring that idea back to the end. So our frequency, we can even say our frequency too should be based off on the, but then, let's filter this data to follow up. Hope day and follow up. All right. So we filter this data to hope day and follow up. Then we can now do the average on this guy. Are we together? So for frequency now, I'll do the average, that's average frequency, no, average based on the recency, based on the follow-up status that says hope day and follow-up. So if you are lost, I don't need to waste my time on you because you are lost. I like the way it sounded. All right. So if I don't have to waste time on you, I can, let's now structure this. So I'm going to put this three as a header. Okay. As an here's a chance. This guy feel fast. Okay, so for the recency days now, I'm using average. Let's average on The recency days is where the status is follow up. No, should we, exactly, that's another thing. Let's say follow up and hope day. So status of hope day. Wait, oh, who did we say hope day safe? Okay, follow up is 30. Okay, 30. Status is 30. Okay, let's say status is follow up. Okay. So anybody that is greater than this average, I will assign him as one. Okay. All right. Greater equals to one. All right. Okay. Anyone that is below the average, okay, let's say less than, I'll assign him to. Meaning you are still average and you are still on follow up. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So are we getting the logic that we're trying to create here?
I'm not really
Yes.
getting it though, but I would go
Maybe
through
if
the
you don't know by
recording
then,
again.
yeah.
See what I'm doing. You know that the this is for marketing, guys. Oh. This frequency is for marketing, right? Normally, the business can know who is making money and who is not making money. It's their business. We just want to help them understand their customers. Now, we've already created a status here called lost, full day, follow up. Of course, we said that those that their score is below 30 and below, they can be followed up. So we're now saying that if your status is follow up, then we want to do the average on those that their status is follow up. That average value, if our then we'll not assign that average. We will not assign anybody. We'll not assign anybody that meets this criteria. Anybody that meets this criteria that is follow up, we'll not assign him to the score one. So that's what we're saying. If it's greater than the average, then it's one. If it's less than the average, then it's two. That's a follow up. Now we want to now do the same thing for status when it's hope day. Okay. So if it's greater than that average two, it should be three. It should be three. If it's less than the average, it should be four. Okay. It should be four. Still on hope day. Oh. Right. Now for this CSV value now, let's know are we going to say, of course, we know if we have filtered the data on only um hope follow up, then we will still use that average. So by using the CLV average, that means it's the same thing now. If the status, so we're still using the same thing for this guy, and for this frequency now, I still the same thing. So the guy that we're using to make decision last is this guy. Let's check it if it's true. Let's check it if it's true. So again, equals to ifs I don't even know where to start from. It's in the alpha, blow breeze, blow breeze. My head is just spinning. I have three options. Um, um, First, let's say I'm about to cook something dangerous. So if the logical statement will now be that the average, okay, wait, Timothy, calm down. The average, as now, it's not average. The average, if when let's start with CLV value. Okay, let's start with CLV value. Where the average, if where this guy, the average on this guy, if the follow-up is what? If the follow-up is if the follow-up is follow-up. So I'm going to lock that guy as of now. I'll go lock that guy. If the status is follow, if the follow-up is follow-up, eh, then then it should factor that guy. All right. If the give us the average, if that guy is this guy, then it should return 1. But I'm not done. By saying if the average of that guy is this guy, so that means we need and 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 the average, this battle is not over. And the sequence and the frequency. Oh no. Oh yes. And the frequency. No, no. That means this should not be. Lord help me. So first, the I want to return a value if the if the I want to find the average. Now, normally I'm supposed to just find average only, like just find the value. Shall be permanent. Shall be permanent. Shall be permanent. It's not me you guys will confuse. Yeah. So I want to say follow up. Okay, let's do it here. I say follow up. Okay. So I'm going to do the average. That'll be average Average if average if that's true. It's not be funny. No, 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 no. But let's try. Average if on this guy, if the frequency is follow up, then it should go and do the average on CLV. You get them? It work? Okay. Then so this is CLV. Then let's now do the average on recency. So I'll say recency. I think this one is better now. This approach is better than having a long formula that if you shake, everything don't shake. No, not ready for that. So let's do the average if again. Average if average if um, follow up, if the criteria is follow up, then do the average on recency days. Zero. so already, we already know what this guy is going to look like. It means that we don't have recency days, but wait, you cannot just tell me no now. Let's process this data. So we saw this data to only follow up. It did not give. It's supposed to give me average on recency days now. It's me that is playing. Smart. Yeah, stop playing. Let's do it again. I foresee it like this. Give it to us. Right. So we have the recency days, we have the recency days. Let's now do follow-up. Still on follow-up. That's the reason why I put the follow-up at the top. So that I can show what is going on here. This one now will now be what? This one will be what now? Frequency, right? Did you get what I'm trying to, the logic? Wait.
Somehow.
Someday I'm telling you. That's what you're trying to say. Okay. All right. So let's do the recency. So that'll be equals to average if on still on this lost guy. So if this guy is equals to follow up, meaning if somebody deletes this table, where you go to cry, then apply it on frequency. Okay, all right. So everybody is forming decimal points now. Big boys are forming decimal points. Try a decimal point away. Okay. So this is currency. This is number. This is number. Now I can say that anybody that is greater than this value, we collect one. We collect one. How do I even write this one? So anybody that is greater than this value, right? That means we are greater than these values, greater than all those values. You collect greater than all, then you collect one. Okay. If you are less than all, Okay, 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 okay. You are less than all. You collect two. Okay. Let's now do this now for we have done this for follow up. We did two for follow up. Let's now do for hope day. Let's do hope day. All right. So this is for follow up. Let's now do for hope day. So I'll just copy this guara guara. I'll put it and I'll put it. I'll just call this hope day. Okay. So next now, do we get what we're trying to do?
I'm trying to get it, but I think for my own, I
Yeah.
didn't really consider frequency. I only considered the recency, and I use interaction. That's okay. Yeah, I didn't consider the revenue, rather, not the frequency. So I used the frequency as like interaction days. That's how many days they've interacted with the business. So I didn't really consider the revenue really. And I think I'm looking at it now and then I'm like, okay, something I can work on.
I like the way you sound. Something you can work on. That's it. You know, that's it. You know what to do next, so just do it. You guys will be surprised to know that it's on this call I'm thinking everything. Like I said, I just do pre-rehearsal. It means as you're all thinking when you were doing your work is how I'm thinking on this call. Right. So for Hope Day, we're just gonna do the same thing. But the only thing we're going to change is I'm going to take exactly what I have here. I'll put it here. But where we have the S length, I change it to 4. All right. So that would be this. No, that's supposed to be F S3. Oh, dear Lord. It's supposed to be S3. Okay. Then the same thing with this guy. Change the S to S3 as on as on isn't it? How are you? I feel sleepy already.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm following.
Okay. And this is 3.
Add risotto.
You said?
I said head is getting hot though. After all the meat we have
Quite
chopped
good with
today.
that.
No, no. After all the meat that we have chopped today like this, the Ed is just saying that I've tried today. Oh, so
Erase my. Wait, the worst time safe. 10:30. Okay, you know what? Let's just get it.
10:40.
It's 10:39. Okay. Because what's up now? So I'll make this whole number. Then I would. All right. So if you are greater than this all, then we'll give you 3. If you are greater than, if you are less than this guy. Oh, sorry. It's supposed to be okay. Yeah, yeah. If you are less than this all, we'll give you 4. Eh? Then if you're on, if not, if you if you do not meet any of these criteria, I'll give you 5. So anything the business do with you. So already that makes sense. So that makes sense. Hope day. This is 15 days, meaning the last time you visited the store is 15 days. A customer should not take 15 days to come back to your store. And if it takes his 15 days, it should not take his 3 days. That's 2 months and right. So this logic makes sense. Are we together? To be able to score them. So the business should follow up all the one, two, three, four. You see these five? There they go. For now, we're calling on the higher powers to follow them up. All right, so let's now do the ROFM, and then we'll go into our. I'll return you back to your loved ones. So let me keep
They are really waiting.
uh, focus. Don't worry. Your loved ones, they will not really be angry with you, because you're the one that say you want to do data, right? Don't take my word for it. So if now, what would be the idea? So that would be ifs, or should we use switch? How many of you have used switch before? Let's try switch. Switch is saying expression is true. We should say false. Let's say false. Okay, let's say true. Expression is true if this guy if this guy as if this guy let's start with the same. If this guy is equals to, so I have to change this to ifs. If this guy is equals to this guy, I have to lock it. The last. All right. And this guy, that's recency day, is equals to this guy. I have to lock it. Okay. And this guy, and our frequency is equals to this guy. Lock it as well. Okay. Then say say uh no, it's not. This you guys have forgotten. We said greater now. All of it is supposed to be greater. Abi? Then should we see greater or equals to? Let's say greater or equals to. Greater or equals to. Focus on my this guy is greater or equals to this guy, then give us one. Right? That's that about that. We'll now bring in another ifs again. We'll do the same thing. If this guy is less than is less than this guy, let's lock it. Okay. And recency days, this guy is less than this guy. Let's lock it. Then lastly, so that's our frequency. Then this guy is less than this guy. Let's like this guy. Allow. Then if we go through all that, then it should give us two. It should give us two. Okay. So let's do for three. So I've done for one and two. Then if this guy, if this guy, should we check if we're actually correct? Before we write so many. Let's say check if we're actually correct. I know spirits told me if this guy is greater equals to if W is greater equals to so, okay. Flagging this guy. This guy is true. This guy is greater than this. Oh, okay. Okay, 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 okay. And if this guy is greater than this, and this guy is greater than this, and this guy is greater than this, then exactly it was and, not ifs. And this guy is greater than this. Exact. Oh. Mm. Mm. So let me explain what happened. The Okoro did not agree with what I was saying. So and allows us to like bring multiple conditions. So this condition must meet, this condition must meet, and this other condition must meet for it to say one. So and again, this condition must meet, and this condition must meet, and this condition must meet for it to say two. Now we can move on to say and because you work now, you don't get mine now. Teacher. Because you work, maybe something we work, you get mine. So let's do this guy. So if this guy is what's the law? What's the law? What's the law? If this guy is greater or equals to um this guy, then I mean and and I'm supposed to lock it though. Let me just let me lock it. Let me lock it. Okay. That's the CLV. Second one is this recency. This recency must be greater or equals to this recency here for it to must be greater or equals to the recency. Okay, I didn't lock it. So let's lock it. All right. Then let's do for frequency. If this guy is greater or equals to is equals to if this guy is greater or equals to it's not it's distracted. If that guy is greater or equals to 2, lock it, lock it. Then if everything meets, then we should have it to be 3. Then let's now have another and um this guy must be greater, must be greater than now, less than this guy. Let me lock it. Isn't it alpha?
Present, sir.
Is it picnic that you drink that your eyes is open like this?
It's closing up, but I want to see the end of this RMF scholar day.
See, I don't go enter who where if you come out until I finish writing the formula.
We're almost done now. Meaning just
Almost done. Okay, then let's
Abby.
do yeah, we're almost done. Then if recency days is less than this value, let's lock it. And if the frequency day is less than this value, let's lock it. Then then um, I'll then close my and. I think I've entered all the and. Yeah. Let me observe. I've entered all the and. Yeah,
When
yeah,
we
yeah.
came for,
So
you're
yeah,
supposed
that's
to write
before.
for now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then else is else. Just give me 5. Yep, we are so right.
Mm.
So let's filter the data to only one. Let's confirm our theory. So this, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to keep this value. Um, I'm going to keep this value in a. Let me put this value in a. I want to be sure what we did. I'm going to use a text box. Right. Now I put the formula inside there. Okay. All right. Oh, okay. So let's now filter this RFM to one. All right. Let's see. If the CLV is greater than 81 billion. So our CLV, let's sort our CLV. So look at the lowest value. Lowest value is 408,410, and the highest value is 38,000. So this is correct, right? Then for
Yeah.
our recency, we said it should be greater than 15. So it's not greater than 15, right? I mean, it's greater than 15 from 16 and above, right?
It's better than 15. Yeah. Yes.
Then our frequency now, even from yourself, you can see it. Sorry, our frequency must be greater than 2. So we have 3, 4, 5. Yay, we're correct. All right.
Nice one.
So that's how the thinking works. I don't know the day. This guy is just thinking, nothing. If you really understand the project and what you're trying to do, the formulas, no matter how long or combined the formula might be, you're trying to combine three, four formulas together, you will still get it because the thinking is clear, right? So I think that's it.
Yeah.
And we did this without having to ChatGPT anything. That's good. All right. So in case you get to see the recording of this class, we've been able to create this, and this is our RAFM. Now, next class, we would go into the customer sales performance analysis, and then finally we'll build our dashboard. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, isn't it, for staying to the end. I hope you learned one or two things though.
My pleasure.
So the
Yes, I
recording is
learned a lot. I'll still go over the video again when it's out.
all right. Anyway, guess what? What I'm doing here, I'm still gonna teach this for the next 60 days. How to think to figure this out. But then that will be a paid class just for 30,000 for 60 days. I'll teach projects. I'm going to do the way we are doing CRM projects. I have 4 projects that are very advanced and very specific to different industries. One is from fintech, the other is from okay, this one is for sales, one is for fintech, one is for healthcare, and the last is for I think the last is agriculture. So it's gonna look like there's something that requires you to think, and I bet you if you have projects like this in your portfolio, it will really reflect the value of it. Okay, our time is up. 11 o'clock already. So for you, what would you say? What would you say? Let me just hear from you. What would you say this project is? I know you've not did you join the group before I gave everybody to do this project?
No, I just joined last week before the
Oh,
workshop.
oh, okay. Because before, from the beginning, I gave everybody this project to work on, but nobody finished it and nobody came to present. So they all said, Timothy, you have finishers. Yeah, come and teach us what you would have done if it was you. So this is me teaching it. That's the reason why we're doing this workshop. All right. So hopefully I'll be able to teach the best ways to think without involving AI. And even though you involve AI, you still have to understand the logic behind what you're trying to do. So for you, what did you learn? I know you still go and watch the video, but what can you take home? I know you're already feeling sleepy, but just tell me one more.
Okay, I learned how to that the date stuff I talked about.
Oh, that
I
date
learned
thing.
yes, I've learned that one. At least I won't be getting outliers like that when I have such situations. I will know how to go about it. And then
Yeah.
the brainstorming for this RFM logic score, it was interesting. And even if I didn't get everything, like if you tell me to replicate it immediately, I might not be able to, but I understand what was done. So
Yeah,
when next I'm looking at it, I'll be able to put one and two, and it will be a breeze, so to speak.
okay.
It's been really helpful.
I like that. Okay, so I don't know if I should even say should we meet next week Friday. So people have already gotten tired.
We should meet next week
uh,
Friday, please. Let's finish it.
you want to see the end of this project, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's actually very interesting. Very, very interesting. This is the first time I'm doing this project. It's not my portfolio. I just wanted to solve a problem in CRM because I have friends, like I said, I have friends that does this as a business, CRM analyst. And many of them they use other softwares that is CRM platform. I just thought of doing something that is Excel and it's looking like this. All right, I think I'll just ask the general community which meets next week Friday. But the record will be available by tomorrow so that we can catch up. All right, isn't it? Do take care of yourself
Okay.
and
Thank
good
you
night.
very much.
You're welcome. Bye for
Good
now.
night.